1.2 million temporary residents must leave Canada in 2025 when their status expires. But will they? If you're going to create a new program, consider how the rules might be enforced and how it might be abused. Failure to do that means you're incompetent, and you don't deserve to be holding the levers of power. All the decent ones will. Nope. Been processing 180-day extension on drive license expiry. I'm a broker in my province. For so many customers because their visas are not getting renewed. They're not going anywhere though lol. My favorite is the visitor visa. Why would you need our license for a visitor visa? You stay in a while? No, because we don't track where they live nor do we track when or if they exit. Which is hilarious because undeveloped nations in Asia do that. Lol. In USA, temporary work permits have driver's license tied to expiry date of visa. Same should be implemented in Canada. Any renewals must require new status visa extended or PR card received. Otherwise, it should not be renewed. No paywall. https://archive.ph/ecuv9 closing square bracket. Canada Post workers can't survive on current wages, union official. Does anyone know what a full pay package for a postal worker is? The article only says that they're struggling, but didn't mention anything else. I hope this is sorted soon, for the sake of the workers and customers. Also, why would one side favor government intervention? The wages weren't great 10 years ago and they definitely haven't been keeping up with inflation. Neither can I. Anyone who has a problem with this needs to understand that prices are not gonna go down to 2017 levels. This is it. Wages have to go up for people to survive in this economy. There is no choice. The federal and provincial governments should just change the Employment Standards Acts, provincial, and Canada Labour Code, federal, to introduce a minimum annual wage increase that is tied to more comprehensive stats can inflation data. This way workers won't lose purchasing power every year if they fail to negotiate a pay increase matching inflation. In other words, they won't take pay cuts every year in real dollars terms. It's like the minimum wage we have now. But it ensures that the wages workers agree to be paid when they're hired will actually keep up with inflation. Oh, and set minimum wage to a minimum livable wage and apply an annual minimum wage increase to minimum wage that is pegged to inflation. Next it will be teachers, then first responders. Then nurses' wages have to go up or this all comes crashing down. New immigrants less happy than longer-term Canadians, poll finds. Greater than new immigrants less happy than longer-term Canadians. Wow, they must be really unhappy then. Somebody misled them about life in Canada. People who own homes valued at $1 million are happier than people paying $2,000 a month to rent a dingy apartment with a view of a hobo urinating on a dumpster. Canada is only good if you already got your stuff. I am a Chinese Canadian. I speak Cantonese and Mandarin. And, sometimes, I am perceived as being from Hong Kong even though I have only vacationed there for a total of 8 days combined in my lifetime and I am 29. But anyway, I got the GDP shock when I vacationed in mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau and Taiwan this past summer. Now, I am well aware that people in mainland China don't make anywhere near the amount of money that Canadians make because China isn't a developed country. But my cousins, who work in either municipal agencies or Chinese state-owned enterprises, have salaries that come close to the lower end of Canadian salaries, implying they are at the top end of the income spectrum in China. Anyway, this means you can easily find cheap food and cheap places to stay in China. In the city of Zhuhai, where that vehicle ramming attack that ended 35 lives just happened days ago, I stayed at a nearly brand new 5-star hotel for $100 Canadian per night. It was a very spacious room with extreme automation, including a robot that would deliver your online orders straight to your room, and a voice-activated device known as Xiaodu, similar to Amazon Alexa, that controls the lights, TV and window coverings. Not blinds, but either cotton or nylon. The hotel is within walking distance to Macau, the special administrative region powered by casinos. Now, what really shocked me is Hong Kong. You would think that the city with so many high earners, whose salaries are so high, that if you were working as a banker, teacher, doctor, etc., that you would need to be willing to accept a massive pay cut to move to Canada. The hotel room for the 5-star Royal Plaza Hotel cost us $200 Canadian a night. It was right next to the mall called Moco, so named for Mong Kok, or Busy Corner in English. There is also a ramen restaurant in Sham Shui Po, a poor area of Hong Kong, that sells ramen and lets you stack different ingredients on it. When you stack enough of the ingredients for it to be full, it costs maybe $16 Canadian, and it is bigger than similarly priced ramen in the GTA. Where I live, my mom is a cheapskate, and even she has to acknowledge that Hong Kong is, in many ways, cheaper than Canada. Taiwan is even more obvious in this regard. Taiwanese minimum wage is half that of Ontario minimum wage, and it appears that Taiwanese average incomes are similarly only half that of Canadian incomes. Taiwan's minimum wage is about $1,240 a month, whereas a minimum wage Ontario employee makes $2,866. But there are small little restaurants in Taipei and New Taipei that have dishes sell for $2 to $5 Canadian. You would be really hard-pressed to find anything under $10 in Canada that would make you full. I am using this calculation because that's what GDP is. If people in one country make 50% less than that of another country, you expect things to cost about 50% to have the same standard of living. Canada's problems go well beyond the housing crisis. Even if you have a paid-off house, the grocery costs would still be extreme, even outside the north, where it is outrageously high the last time I read on the internet. While housing crises exist in these Chinese-speaking jurisdictions, that seems to be the only cost of living crisis in Hong Kong and Taiwan. What makes this even worse is that Hong Kong and Taiwan are not car dependent, which means you can thrive without a car. While Taiwan has lower gas prices than Canada, Hong Kong has substantially higher gas prices, but bus passes that are actually usable and convenient because of the infrastructure makes all the difference. Not being required to own a car allows one to save a substantial amount of money, leaving everything behind and starting again in a new country where people with established homes and communities are finding it impossible to live might be a tough pill to swallow. Canada working with Biden team to finalize BC River Treaty before Trump takes office. The Columbia River flows through the Rockies in BC and crosses the Washington border. South of Castlegar it crosses the border. Can someone please explain to me why Canadians should be worried about what happens to the river downstream? A quick peek at a map and it seems like diverting the river along the North Oregon border towards LA would be ideal in Trump's plan. Why are Canadians worried? Is this just a "be afraid" propaganda? I find it horrifying yet amusing that anyone thinks Trump is going to honor any agreements he doesn't like. He won't care. Nobody can stop him. Law is irrelevant. What were you doing for 3.5 years? Alberta pushes for more oil pipelines to US as Trump returns. This post appears to relate to the province of Alberta. As a reminder of the rules of this subreddit, we do not permit negative commentary about all residents of any province, city, or other geography. This is an example of prejudice. And prejudice is not permitted here. https://www.reddit.com/r/canada/wiki/rules set soumission semble concerner la province d'Alberta. Selon les règles de ce sous répertoire. Nous n'autorisons pas les commentaires négatifs sur tous les résidents d'une province, d'une ville ou d'une autre région géographique. Il s'agit d'un exemple d'intolérance qui n'est pas autorisé ici. https://www.reddit.com/r/canada/wiki/règles and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message compose to =r Canada if you have any questions or concerns. Trump's 4-year term isn't enough time to get a route planned, permitted and built. In reality, we will end up with more oil by rail, more environmentally risky and carbon intensive. And didn't we try this before? And it was vetoed and cost Alberta like $1 billion? Conservatives are about to learn Trump doesn't give a shit about Canadian oil. He cares only about increasing domestic production, even though it's already at an all-time high under Biden. How is this gonna work with the massive tariffs Trump is bringing in? They really are going full scorched earth.